Filomania friends! All my monsters and I are here to say hi, and yes, I'm back again, diving headfirst into this thrilling universe of collectible blades. Welcome to your channel, Filomania. And today, I've got a brand new unboxing straight from the United States, as usual. This time, it comes courtesy of Knife Center, one of the top online knife retailers. I had some reward points saved up about 50 bucks, and I used them to help bring home something I've always wanted. Something that's been on my collector's wish list for years. A very specific kind of knife, the Balisong, also known as a butterfly knife. Now, what exactly is a Balisong? Well, it's a very different mechanism from the folding knives we've featured so far on this channel. This one's unique, and this time I came across a Benchmade Balisong 62 that was on sale at a really good price, and with my discount coupon on top of that, I knew it was finally time. Time to add a butterfly knife to my collection for the very first time. And that's exactly what we're going to explore in this video. Of course, we're talking about Benchmade, an iconic American brand with a long-standing reputation, and interestingly enough, they were the ones who actually brought the Balisong mechanism into the modern spotlight. Now let's take a look. It comes, as always, with a small information booklet detailing how to take care of the knife, warranty information, and all the usual stuff. It's always a good idea to keep these little things around, just in case you ever need to claim that warranty. And just so you know, Benchmade offers a lifetime warranty, which is always great peace of mind. Yes, it's a brand that's currently facing a lot of criticism for its high prices, but honestly, the build quality and design language are just on another level. That's hard to deny. All right, let's finally get to the knife itself. Benchmade, as many of you already know, is a company that manufactures everything right here in the United States, from design to production. And this particular knife, well, here it is. Let me set this aside so we can focus. Look, I swear to you this is the first time I've ever held a Balisong in my hands. And I've been collecting knives for over 6 years. But I had never taken the plunge and bought a butterfly knife. And there's a simple reason for that. They're incredibly expensive. We're talking about a knife category that usually starts at $400 and goes way up from there. But this one? I found it at just $200, and with my discount coupon, it came down to $150. So I said to myself, all right, this is it. This is the moment. Now, I'm definitely not an expert when it comes to Balisongs. Everything I've learned so far has been from watching YouTube videos, like most of us. But here it is, and wow, you saw how it opens, right? Pretty slick. Of course, this channel is geared toward collectors, especially those who are beginners or just getting into the world of knives. I'm not a beginner overall, but when it comes to Balisongs, this is literally my first hands-on experience. So yeah, you pop the latch open, and once the blade is fully deployed, you can clip the latch back if you want. Simple as that. And there it is. Look at that beauty. Seriously, just take a second and appreciate it. What a stunning piece of craftsmanship. Now, remember, this is just a first impressions unboxing, so we're not going to go super in-depth yet. But I do want to share a little bit of the history behind this type of knife, because it's pretty fascinating. So before the brand was called Benchmade, the company actually went by a different name. Balisong, can you believe that? That was the original name. And it was founded by a guy named Les Deassi, a passionate knife enthusiast based in California. His very first knife? A handmade artisan-style Balisong, crafted from basic materials, built right there in his own garage. That humble blade was the spark that put his brand on the map. It didn't take long before people really started to take notice. By the early 1980s, the company gained serious traction, and the name changed from Balisong to Pacific Cutlery, and later, in 1988, it became the brand we know today, Benchmade. So yeah, that's the evolution: Balisong, Pacific Cutlery, Benchmade. And even though Benchmade is now known for making a wide range of high-end knives, including folding knives and fixed blades, the Balisong is still part of their DNA. They didn't leave that legacy behind. In fact, if you've been following this channel, you've seen some of their folders and fixed blades in past episodes. Benchmade doesn't just specialize in butterfly knives, but they definitely made their name with them. Now, jumping ahead a bit in the early 2000s, Benchmade released the legendary Model 42. And for many collectors, that knife is considered the most beloved Balisong of all time. The one we have here is the Model 62, which carries on that same spirit, but the 42? Yeah, it's iconic. The original Model 42 was a lightweight knife, built with titanium handles and crafted with incredible precision, as you'd expect from Benchmade. That level of detail, that smooth action, it really set the standard. But then, they discontinued it. Yup, the 42 was taken off the market. Production stopped sometime around the year 2000. And for a full decade, collectors were left wanting. It wasn't until around 2010 that Benchmade brought the Balisong back, but this time under a new model number, the Benchmade 62, the very knife I'm holding right here. Now let's be clear, this is not the newest version out there. It's not a 2024 release or anything like that, but rather it's a kind of modern successor to the legendary 42 with its own unique features. Unlike the 42, which had lightweight titanium scales, the Model 62 comes with polished stainless steel handles, like you see here. And yes, that adds weight, but also gives it a more classic and substantial feel. And if you've been following this channel, you already know one thing about me. I love heavy knives. That's just part of who I am. It's part of the Filomania philosophy. Why? Because when I hold a heavier knife, it feels like a real tool, like something solid in the hand. Something that gives me confidence. That extra weight helps me apply force more naturally, more effectively, when I'm working with the blade. So yeah, the Model 62 was born around 2010-2011, and while it doesn't have titanium handles, it retains the same blade profile as the original, which, for me, is a huge win. Now, let's take a closer look at the details. What are these right here? These small circular components, they're called washers, and in this case, they appear to be made of copper or maybe even bronze. They add a subtle but classic touch to the overall construction. As for the latch mechanism, we mentioned it briefly earlier, but here's a closer look. This model uses a press-fit latch rather than the spring-loaded kind you'll often see on more recent Balisongs. So you won't get that automatic snap-closed feature. Instead, it relies on manual tension. It's a bit more traditional, and honestly, I like that. Now, the blade on this particular model is made from D2 tool steel, which is considered a semi-stainless material. It's not fully corrosion-proof like modern stainless super steels, so yes, you will need to take care of it, especially if you live in a humid climate. But what it lacks in corrosion resistance, it more than makes up for in edge retention. D2 holds a sharp edge for a long time, and for a knife in this price range, it's actually a very respectable choice. Let's be clear, we're not talking about some ultra-premium steel here. It's not S90V, MagnaCut, or M390, but for the $150 price tag, it's absolutely fair. You're still getting solid performance and the durability you'd expect from a Benchmade. Now, as I mentioned before, this knife is heavy. Weighing in at 6.4 ounces, that's about 181 grams, definitely not light. But again, for me, that's part of the appeal. We'll go into that more deeply in the full review. This is still just the unboxing phase. One thing people always ask about Balisongs is, aren't they tricky to open? And yeah, they can be. Getting the blade out and deployed properly takes some practice. It's almost like learning a new skill or even an art form. You build the muscle memory over time, especially if you have a trainer blade or if you manage to swap this live blade for a duller one. That way, you can practice the flips and openings safely before going full butterfly ninja. Oh, and just to clarify, the blade on this knife is sharpened on only one side. That's important to know. So this is the live edge, the sharp side, and when you're flipping it around, you've got to be mindful of where your fingers are. Now, the cool thing about Balisongs is how they move, how the handles pivot and dance around your hand. That's what gives the knife its nickname, the butterfly knife. It's almost like watching a butterfly fluttering in your palm. There's a beautiful rhythm to it once you learn it. Now, if you're lucky enough to get your hands on a trainer blade, which is essentially the same thing but without the sharp edge, you'll be able to practice all the flipping moves without the risk of cutting yourself. Most trainer blades are made of metal too, so they still feel authentic in the hand. I'm definitely going to look into getting one because as much as I love this knife, I've got to admit, starting out with a live blade like this can be dangerous. No joke, but man, I love it. I'm being totally honest with you, I really love it. There's just one thing I wish it had: a pocket clip. Yeah, this particular model doesn't come with one. Now, Benchmade does make other Balisongs that are more modern and do feature pocket clips, making them easier to carry discreetly in your pocket. But here's the thing I noticed the moment I picked it up. Right here, the latch, when closed, sits in a very awkward spot if you try to grip the handle fully. As you can see, if your palm rests against it, it presses into your hand and starts to feel uncomfortable pretty quickly. To avoid that, you have to adjust your grip slightly forward, away from the latch. And when you move your hand up to the front of the knife, well, it's not exactly comfortable there either. There's no jimping, no thumb ramp, no texture to brace your thumb. So when you try to apply pressure, your thumb ends up resting against this protruding corner, which honestly digs into the skin a little. The most natural and ergonomic position would seem to be further back near the tail end of the handle, but then we run into the same problem. If I rest my index finger back here, or let the knife sit deeper in my palm, that latch again presses into my hand, and it gets uncomfortable all over again. So yeah, this knife doesn't have the kind of refined ergonomics we're used to seeing in more modern designs. It's not one of those knives that melts into your hand and disappears. It definitely reminds you that it's there. Another thing I noticed: the handle shape. It tapers from wide to narrow as it moves toward the blade, and that subtle change in width creates a bit of a slipping sensation in hand. It's like the knife wants to slide forward, especially if you're gripping it loosely. So overall, while it looks stunning and flips beautifully, it's not the most ergonomic knife out there for extended use or firm grips. So yeah, if I'm being totally honest, I'd say this knife isn't really meant for utility cutting tasks. It's not something you'd grab for opening boxes or slicing rope on a daily basis. This is, more than anything, a knife designed with self-defense in mind. Now, let's be absolutely clear. Here on Filomania, we do not promote violence. That's not what this channel is about. But we can't ignore the fact that this is, at its core, a bladed weapon. Historically, knives like this have been used all over the world as tools for personal defense. And when it comes to the Balisong, it's often had a reputation for better or worse of being associated with street fighting or even gang culture in some places. Why is that? Well, part of it is the intimidation factor. When you see someone flipping a Balisong around the way the handles swing and click, the way it dances through the air, it gives off a certain energy, like watching someone spin nunchaku or another martial arts weapon. It's flashy, it's loud, it's meant to make a statement. And that fluid, unpredictable motion? Yeah, it can definitely make people think twice before stepping in. So in that sense, the Balisong isn't just a knife, it's a bit of a psychological tool as well. That said, these are just my first impressions of the Benchmade 62. And I have to tell you, I don't regret buying it at all. I really, truly love this knife. Sure, it's not super ergonomic. It's not something I'd want to use for long periods of time. It's a bit heavy, and the design isn't what I'd call comfortable. But still, there's something about it. It's got that soul, that presence, and even with all its flaws, it's earned a solid place in my collection. After just a few minutes of flipping and handling it, I can already feel where the pressure points are going to hit. This thing will bruise your palm, wear down your grip, and slide around if you're not careful. But in a way, that's part of the experience. So yeah, let's be real. This isn't the kind of knife you'd use for everyday utility tasks. It's not meant for prolonged cutting jobs or detailed manual work. That's not what this knife was built for. As I said earlier, this is a self-defense knife, first and foremost. Now, I can't really compare it to other Balisongs out there because this is my first one. It's literally the first time I've held a butterfly knife in my hands, despite years of collecting all sorts of folders, automatics, and fixed blades. And let me tell you something, that first experience, it feels amazing. There's something truly special about it. It's different, radically different from anything else I've handled before. If you're someone who's already been deep into collecting and you've never owned a Balisong, the moment you do, you're going to feel it. It's not just another knife, it's a whole different kind of experience. This is a brilliant invention, a revolutionary design both functional and flashy. And more than anything, it invites you to move with it, to learn its rhythm, to become part of the dance. So yeah, nice to meet you, Balisong. I hope you're not the last of your kind to join my collection. Maybe sometime down the line, I'll bring in a few more butterfly knives. But hey, that's a story for the future. All right, my friends, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Tell me what you think, especially if this was your first time seeing a Balisong up close. Me and my little knife monsters wish you an awesome week ahead. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Peace out, knife nerds.